Hi folks, I'm Train Simulator Driver and I'm going to throw to my collaborator, Maffarick, who's going to tell us what we're doing here.
So what we're doing here, we're basically doing a service from here at Blackpool North over to Preston in some typically British summer weather. We're in the Just Trains Class 142 Pacer today, the infamous Pacer, and yeah, so should be a pretty routine run. It Yeah, I love Blackpool branches. It's my favorite route in TSW, and I haven't done it in a while, so I thought I might give it some love. This video is inspired by Train Simulator Driver's race against Joe, commonly known as British Ace, for a dovetail sale, like as part of promotion for a sale, like a few months back.
Yep, yeah, we did do that. And we've done a couple of others as well, but that's probably the one that people have seen the most of.
Which side am I on? I can't remember.
You're on the left-hand side.
Okay.
Yeah, you're on the left-hand side and I'm on the right-hand side and I'm still just fiddling with stuff. I did notice you went down the back and set the rear destination display. That's dedication.
I Yeah, I like doing that. That's I like doing the run as realistically as possible.
And at the moment I'm just sitting around introducing myself to the passengers.
Yeah.
Because, you know, drivers do that.
Yeah.
Because since we're sitting here waiting on a red signal,
Yeah.
and I was trying to make the announcements happen, but they were avoiding me.
I actually have a friend who lives up in Blackpool, not naming names, but yeah, he's despite having been too young to see.
And you're off. You've still got a red signal, but you're off.
Yeah, I was just trying to sneak up on the red signal, just so I did jump the start a bit, and I'm sorry for that, but I'm trying to get as close as possible to the red signal without going past it.
Yeah, there's a bit of a mixture in life of what real drivers would do. Sometimes they'll actually do that, and sometimes they won't.
Yeah, I admit I jumped the start a bit, but the race is going to finish a lot closer than when it began.
Yeah, I haven't even moved yet, and you know why? Because I accidentally took it out of forwards.
I I'm already moving, and I'm already passing the Blackpool signal box.
You are, and you're doing 33 miles an hour in a 15 zone. 35.
I forgot about. I was a bit shambles at the start. I totally forgot about the stick to speed limits restriction that you. Yeah, but don't worry, viewers. It's going to be a lot closer than that. My cheating might eventually catch up to me. Just watch till the end of the video.
I wouldn't class it so much as cheating. It's just what we did. But yeah, it's an interesting route to play, and I'm driving it as a real driver would approach it. And it's yeah, just wait till the end. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, you can actually see the hardware difference because you can tell on the left that I'm running at medium to high settings, and you're running at ultra settings.
I am.
Much higher frame rate than me because I'm on a laptop just for portability reasons because I do a lot of world traveling. So yeah, you've barely started accelerating.
Yep.
I think it's Leighton.
Yeah, you're coming into the first station now.
Yeah.
It is a little bit hard to tell because to get this side-by-side format I only took the middle of each video, so that most of the time we can see out the windscreen.
This is actually my favorite run, favorite station-to-station run to do in Train Sim World. Also, I think coming in second is taking a freight locomotive from Riesa to Dresden on Maffarick Dresden, because like the 185, the Vectron, and also now the 218 from Train Sim Germany.
You know,
As well.
you have to say Vectron properly, you know.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite like run to do in Train Sim World?
To be honest, my favourite place is actually Peak Forest, which is, I know it's funny because
I asked that on stream like a couple of months back.
The route I know,
Right, Preston in heavy rain, which is a bit ironic.
yeah, the route commercially hasn't been that successful, but I reckon it's the best looking and it's got the best gameplay.
It, I yeah, it does look really good, and it like the timetable is basically the same as Spirit of Steam, but it does like in terms of the terrain, it does make it that bit more challenging, and the Fowler 4F is really good, like with excellent sounds.
I've caught up with you, by the way.
Oh, you have, but I'm probably going to shut my doors and be
Yeah,
quiet for you. So,
yep. Yeah,
like,
the scenarios on Peak are absolutely amazing. The people who worked on those worked really closely with the beta team, and we put in lots of suggestions. So that really complex scenario where you're doing pick up and drop off freight, that was one of the things I pushed for really hard and got. So
thank you. That's actually really good. I didn't even know that the beta testers could push for specific content.
oh yeah, we do all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gone off and sat with the passengers again, and now I'm outside. I hardly ever stay in the cab. I just go everywhere.
I to tell you the truth, I was actually after about Percival Besson, my dad was actually messaging me, so I was looking up and down um while messaging with him. So that's why I committed a big error up ahead.
Oh, that happens. We're coming under the same bridge at almost the same time. You got under it just before me.
Like 1 second ahead at this point. But
Yeah.
yeah, you were playing catch up.
Yeah, and I started checking the timetable going, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Because did you notice something?
You're
I
it's Blackpool North.
It was. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm not going to Blackpool, I'm going from Blackpool.
You're going into the you're going into the Tees Valley destinations.
Uh-huh.
There's
Yep.
yeah, you've gone all the way in the wrong direction.
Yep. 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 And eventually I set it back, but right now it's blank.
It's yeah, it's nice that even though the Pacer doesn't layer onto Tees Valley or Northern Transpennine, that the destinations are actually still included.
And at this point I'm speeding too. We're both speeding. And I think I'm actually just ahead of you.
Yeah. I think I actually asked TrainSim TV about that when he was doing a preview stream of Blackpool Branches before it came out, and he said that Dovetail didn't put the work in to allow the Pacer to be put onto Northern Transpennine or the Tees Valley, which is a bit of a shame. Which
Well, you can do whatever you want with free roam.
yeah, free roam I think is one of the best features they've ever added.
Yeah, it's good. It's quite handy.
Like I actually, no joke, use it for my wallpaper. Like I line a bunch of trains up in a yard and take a photo of them. Like something that you couldn't do with timetable because you'd cause a massive traffic jam. Ooh, you're actually ahead of me at this point.
I am. Only just. Yeah. Yep, only just.
Oh, yeah. And if you look off to the right here, you can actually see one of the once daily Bernese branch oil train about to head up the branch and waiting for this train. I didn't even when I chose the service, I didn't even know that I would see that train. So that's lucky chance, I suppose.
Yeah, I can see it sitting there in the platform looking out the windows because I'm back in with the passengers again, naturally enough.
Yeah.
It's one of those interesting things. The two camera, quite often with the Pacer, ends up inside the Pacer. So you just go with the flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the oil train heading out.
I'm now going over the Bernese train. Oh yeah, now you're putting the destination blind all the way out. So you did notice eventually. Yeah, like, there we go. And you put it back to Blackpool North.
No, we're getting there. I had to figure out where the train's actually going, which is Manchester. So I've fixed that now.
I always press T and have a look at the if the train has a destination, changeable destination screen. Like if it's the 385 on Edinburgh to Glasgow or the 142 from this route, I always press T and have a look at the destination before I leave the first station. Just as a rule of thumb.
Yeah, it's a good idea to do. I often just assume that the destination display is going to be right, and most of the time it is. But not on the Pacer, because it doesn't do it for you.
Yeah, most of the time it's automatically set, like if you're on the Class 700 on Southeastern High Speed, for instance.
And at some point in the near future, I hope it's near anyway, when we get the 104 for Peak Forest.
Oh yeah, I was actually going to mention that, but I forgot. Yeah, the 104 I'm really looking forward to, because it'll be like it'll be the first non-preservation era, first generation British diesel multiple unit, if that makes any sense.
When you say non-preservation era, there's heaps of them in preservation. I rode a 104 on Llangollen.
Yeah. Well, I meant, yeah. Well, I assume the one on Peak Forest will be not preservation era. So it won't have like AWS or anything like that equipped.
I would assume not, because the route doesn't support it. They'd have to upgrade the route to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm off talking to cows again.
Yeah.
I told you, I go anywhere but in the train.
Me, I actually I tend to stick to the cab.
Yeah, it all depends on the player. Some just sit in the cab and watch out the window, and other ones go all over the place. In real life, of course, you stay in the cab because you've got nowhere else to go.
Yeah. And yeah, I think of that as realistic. So occasionally I do love me a good fly past shot. So you'll probably see, yeah, look, there I go.
Good timing.
So yeah, the Pacer I think is just my favorite train in Trains World as a whole, just because it's just so exquisitely well done. And the route that it runs on is so well done.
It's certainly a bouncy thing, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, going back to the developer, Just Trains developer live stream for this route, apparently they went in and watched like driver's camera views of the Pacer going along this real life route, and they, at every bump, they recorded that bump and put a bump in on the track. So it's bouncing realistically in realistic spots, which is mind-blowingly accurate.
Yeah, they've done quite well. The way routes are usually done, they use a mixture of things like satellite imagery, the DEM data, LiDAR data if it's available, and trackside videos, cab videos, anything they can get their hands on when they're developing routes, basically. And the older ones, that's hard because there's not that much around. Ones like Blackpool, there's plenty of them. Plus, with the Pacer, the passengers can actually get up in the front of it.
Yeah. I noticed that the BR218 from Trains of Germany actually has dynamic suspension, so if you go over the track joint, it will bounce realistically, and each wheel will bounce realistically, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a older version of the suspension, and
so it's less soft, I'm guessing.
There's the only thing I can tell you is that it'll be different when it comes out, and it's in the roadmap for 0 to 3 months, so we should see it pretty soon.
Oh, for the 101?
No, for most of the stuff that's coming or come out in Train Sim World 4, most of that's getting suspension in this release, not all of it. The list of locos that's getting it's on my last roadmap video.
Oh yeah, because DTG said that they would add dynamic suspension to a bunch of trains for the Summer Core update. Like the ones I can remember off the top of my head are the Class 801 from the West Coast Main Line, Peterborough to Doncaster route, and the OBB 4024 Talent one from Espon Veralba.
Yeah, I think they were in there. See if I can just find it.
And I think the 323 and 66 from the Trains already had it, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong.
Yeah, they already do. when you play them now in training centre, only in training centre it happens. Because suspension's an interaction between the route and the train. It's not just the train.
That's the only place where I do have the 323. I don't have Birmingham Cross City or the Glossop line.
Pity, Glossop's fun. Birmingham's pretty good too.
I was considering getting Glossop until the Gospel Oak to Barking line was announced.
London Overground.
Yeah, the London Overground line.
Otherwise known as the Suffering Goblin.
Yeah, the Suffragette. Yeah. Suffragette line, isn't it?
Yeah, its recent rename is Suffragette, but the locals still call it the Goblin.
When I released my first look video, I was actually really conflicted as to what to call it. So I just called it the Goblin line, even though it was even though the new name was already out.
Yeah. You may notice I got locked out there because I didn't acknowledge AWS.
Oh,
but it didn't actually stop me. After a while, it just went, yeah, alright, keep going.
I have noticed that. Like, with SIFA in the 218, I had the SIFA go off on me. I didn't press the button in time, and the brakes applied, but I was able to release the brakes and keep going before I had lost too much speed. So
yeah, it depends on the loco. Some of them let you do that, and some of them don't. Most of them behave prototypically. Because SIFA is forgivable,
yeah.
Whereas PZB is unforgivable.
I've never used LZB or PZB. I didn't even know how they work. So
LZB is essentially cruise control. So in LZB, the track is actually telling the train how fast to go.
Oh.
And
system?
No, it runs down an antenna wire down the centre of the track. But the only thing the players really need to know about LZB is how to react when you're coming out of it so that it doesn't stop. So it detects that you're alive and it lets you continue. PZB is a little bit different though. PZB, it's you could treat it a lot like AWS and just acknowledge every adverse signal and you probably won't go too far wrong as long as you keep your speeds under control.
I'm going to have to go back and watch your tutorials because I seem to remember you did an LZB and PZB tutorial back when Trains of World 3 came out on the ICE 1. So
yep.
So yeah.
If you use the player hints, here we are being poetic. We're waiting for a red signal, so I'm sitting at the waiting sign. But if you're using the minimal HUD and you're using the player assist, there's another tutorial out for just how to interpret the player assist, and if you go with that, PZB is not going to bite you too often. The only time it'll bite you is if you're going too fast, because player assist doesn't tell you about that. Oh, now we've gone to the gentleman's toilets.
Yeah, I just love the detail on this route. Like, Just Trains did a magnificent job, and probably will do a magnificent job again, because they just released a teaser screenshot of their next route, which is going to be like, what is it, like another 80s era, like British route.
Yeah. Now I've got an obsessed trying to get a reflection of the pacer in the puddle, but it wasn't working. Yeah, their next route looks good, so we'll see how it goes. With all the other third parties, we've got to give them time to learn the tools, because developing for Unreal versus developing for Train Sim Classic is very, very different.
Totally different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very different. So, all the other developers, I'd give them at least a year from when they start to learn the tools before they start releasing anything.
Okay, so how are you with their Santa Fe gameplay pack for Home Pass? You think that'll take about a year?
The gameplay pack itself with scenarios could be quicker, but anybody that's building a route or a train, will give them a long time because there's so much to learn.
Now I've got to give some credit here, because it's, judging by the screenshots of community routes that Dovetail's been releasing in the roadmap, some of those routes look developer quality for sure.
Oh yeah. It's the advantage of doing it by yourself, is you're doing it as a passion project. You don't care if it makes money because you're never going to be able to sell it. So you'll put everything in it, and if you have to get a little team of 4, 5, 6 people, like the New Zealand people do, and work on a route for 5 years, and they work on it 6 or 7 hours a day in their own spare time outside of their jobs, those routes look amazing. And the downside of those routes is often they put so much into it that unless you're running a gaming rig like mine, the performance is awful.
Yeah, like, if I remember the Midland line that I can see to Springfield route for Train Simulator Classic, that's widely considered like the best New Zealand route for TS Classic. That isn't that like a really, really demanding route?
Yeah, it's the only one, I think.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think there are a couple of other New Zealand routes. It's certainly ones that I've seen on Steam. But yeah, I think the Midland line is by far the best.
I've been involved. The guy Stefan who makes Midland, he's the one responsible person for all of it. There are some others that help him, but he's the main guy. I've had test versions of that route before he optimised it, and I have to say it looked absolutely amazing, but the frame rate was not amazing. So he had to dumb it down quite a lot.
Seriously, that's actually incredible.
TS there's a big difference between TSC and Unreal. In TSC, it calculates everything whether you can see it or not. So if there's a hill in the way, it still calculates it. Whereas Unreal, oh, we're falling out of the world.
It went through the bottom of the map.
Yeah, Unreal knows about occlusion. So if it's behind a hill or it's behind a building, Unreal doesn't calculate it unless you can see it.
Yeah.
So you're out of the train now. Look at that.
I wanted to capture like the swaying back and forth with the train, and it does look really good. I think the one thing I don't like about the Class 142 is that it has two-dimensional springs. If you do look, the springs are two-dimensional, and it's just got like black coloring between them. It's not like the three-dimensional springs that you get on the BR218, sadly.
The best suspension implementation I have seen in any rail game is the one in Railcar Simulator. That's awesome. Every single component in the bogie works and moves realistically. That's the best one that's out today. There's another one coming called... It's a Steam game. But it's the one the YouTuber Heist has been pushing really hard. Century of Steam. That one. That's going to have the best suspension simulation when it comes out. Just judging by the little snippets that we see.
You're going 75 and I've already passed Solway. Look at me, I'm lagging behind and only going 70 miles an hour because I was having to look at messages. Oh dear.
Cruising along at a happy 60
Yeah. That was not intentional. That was not intentional.
It does happen. So it's very easy to do. It's one of the things when you're in a real locomotive, we put our phones in the box. It's not allowed to happen.
One thing that there is a difference between our two perspectives is that I'm running mods. I think I'm running a ballast mod for Blackpool branches. I can't remember. I think I am. But you aren't running any mods.
No. And the reason I don't generally run mods is as an ambassador, I want to show it the way it really looks like. So that when someone goes and buys it on their Xbox or their PlayStation, they're going to see what they're going to get. Whereas when I
console players who can't get mods.
But when I'm on my own, I actually do put mods. So, and occasionally I do stream with mods on, but I always tell people that I am when I'm doing that.
Which is, of course, a good idea.
And I never do it on release streams.
Yeah, which is totally fair and very, very logical. What do you think is your favorite mod for Train Sim World?
Favorite one? Well, it's a mod that's actually not needed anymore. It was London Midlands Sydney mod, and the reason you don't need it anymore is because it's in the game.
Oh, he actually got contacted by Dovetail and put it in the game.
I think he contacted them, but yeah. And I don't know that they actually used his mod, but they did. I think, see that it was popular and see that it was good and went down that path.
So look, I've gotten to I've realized my mistake and I'm now going at 76. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm cruising around about 73 by the looks of it.
Yeah. I think my favorite mods for Trains of World are actually a tie of three. Three-way tie, I mean. No, number one, the trainsim.cz's Brighton mainline timetable mod. So basically, the class 700 gets added, and it's a completely the original services still stay, so you still get the 166, 375, 387, but you also get the 700, and it's both the versions of the 700, and the RLU sticker also gets replaced by the FLU sticker if you're running the full-length unit, which is pretty cool. And then number two, it's the 5-circle line enhancement pack plus plus timetable. So you get the class 800, you get the ScotRail HST, and you also get more surfaces for the 170 along with better scenery. And then the last position is the Isle of Wight enhancement pack, which basically not only revamps the scenery but also gives the class 484 a more realistic paint job than the unrealistic one that Rivet Games had to put in because of licensing issues.
Yeah, they didn't have a license for the actual train branding, so they made one up that was reminiscent of it, that makes people think of the train branding but doesn't get them in trouble.
Yeah, and which I'm not too much of a fan of. So this mod adds the realistic one in and replaces the default one, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't mind the made up branding that's in there, because I would rather have a train and rather have the route than not.
Yeah, which is fair, but even when the Isle of Wight enhancement pack hadn't been updated for Trains 1.4, I got a Creators Club livery and used that one instead.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I made a heap of scenarios for Isle of Wight.
Oh, you're going to win. Oh wait.
And right about now, AWS goes off, but I acknowledged it and the brakes went off again, but it just keeps on going.
Oh no!
Yeah, so I think I encountered a bug.
Pushing the button trying to reset it. Oh dear.
Yeah, mash.
Oh dear.
But the brakes stayed off, but I can't accelerate anymore, so I'm just coasting now. Not that it really matters anymore because we're coming in.
I've never seen that bug with the 142 before.
Yeah, neither had I. I'd never seen it happen. And interestingly, when you say I'm going to win, just wait. So I am getting into the platform first, but when the when the end screen comes up, is where we'll have a chat about did I win or didn't I win? Because if we were just playing on two computers side by side, then which we effectively are, even though we're thousands and thousands of kilometres apart. Thousands and thousands of miles for those who can't handle kilometres.
When I got to about here, I started lagging so much. I got down to about 19 frames as the whole of Preston loaded in, so apologies for that. My hardware is not the best.
Oh, it's alright. It's just, these things just happen. I try and play a route once before I record on it, so it loads and caches everything. But
Things are heading for Blackpool South that you can see behind you. That for me was a GMPT orange one.
Oh, cool. Yeah, they do chop and change a little bit.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So now we've both arrived, and
yeah, you can see on my screen that it's a GM Greater Manchester Public. Oh, I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but yeah.
Yeah, and right now. Yeah, go on.
Now, one thing I like about Preston is the custom destination boards that you can see on TSD's side of the screen.
And they are actually like that, having been here.
In real life, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Like,
So I'm getting the end screen now. I don't know right now you can't see what we're going to talk about in a moment, but once your end screen comes up, I've refactored the video, and we'll see both end screens side by side.
If you have a look at your screen, it says in the new top right, like news section, it says the Crompton has arrived. Wait a minute. Was that for like when the Class 33 came out for like the West Somerset Railway? Why?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It still comes up there. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because you look at my time taken, 29:16, and you look at yours, 29:13. So you got there quicker. Right? Yeah. So you actually took less time. And it's just going to keep flickering like that because I didn't build an image. I just repeated the video over and over and over. That's fair. That's the difference in clocks on the computer. So yours was, and we've gone to black now, so we'll wrap this up, but yours was most likely skipping frames at that point. And what that means is that your clock wasn't ticking. So you actually get a quicker time on the route. It's one of those really interesting things in the way Unreal games work, because you
seriously?
Yeah, everything's drawn on the tick. And when drawing takes too long, the ticks get dropped. So your clock stops.
So my hardware my deficient hardware may have contributed to a faster time than you, even though you obviously won.
That's it. Anyway, since
well done.
Well, I think we're well done either way, because these things are just fun, and they're well worth doing.
That was really enjoyable to film, though.
Yeah,
and also to watch. I was not expecting that ending, and this is my genuine first reaction as well.
Yeah, it's cool. These kind of challenges are always fun, and I encourage anybody who plays, whether you stream or not, it doesn't matter. Have a go at doing this with someone else and put the video together and see what you come up with, because it's good fun.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really enjoyable. Thank you so much for having me on.
No, welcome. It's good to have some conversation, a bit of banter as we cruised along. So